Welcome to Scale With Us, the podcast for business owners navigating the absolute chaos of scaling a business and juggling all that life throws at you along the way.
Each week, we'll be talking about our wins and fails and everything in between because let's be real, it's not all smooth scaling.
So grab a drink, settle in, and let's get into it. I'm ready for my close-up. Here we go. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
It always feels so weird to get started because it feels very formal.
It does.
Maybe we don't need to be so formal.
Maybe. We talk a lot. So
we'll just play our last voice note to each other. Actually, no, people don't want to hear that. It's probably either me or you having a spiral or a mental breakdown about business.
Yeah, or children.
Anyway, we'll get into the spirals later. Yeah. Hi, what are you drinking and what are you thinking today? Let's kick it off. Let's get started.
So today we have our fake Stanleys.
I love that you just went straight and you couldn't even call it a real Stanley.
Yeah, it is full. It's water. Sorry or it may be vodka. I'm not sure.
Maybe we should play a little guessing game with the listeners at home.
Yeah.
Hang on.
See now.
What does this sound like?
Yours is iced coffee, isn't it?
It is iced coffee, but it's not full, so don't freak out. That was I sent you a photo this morning and I was like, I've got coffee.
Yeah, I was like, that is a large one.
No, I poured, I got one from the shop and then I poured it into there because, well, it keeps it cooler. Yeah.
And what are you thinking?
Well,
how's your week been?
That we're basic bitches that don't have real Stanley cups. Yeah. But we actually just heard that they've all been recalled so I actually feel better about our Kmart purchase now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh. There you go.
So we're very lucky.
We are
blessed. Hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? Oh, I have had the pleasure, I don't know if that's the right way to call it, of not really having my kids full time this school holiday. So I don't know for any of you long-time listeners, our two long-time listeners. I am a single mum and I have my kids nearly full time. They're over their dad every second weekend. So life's pretty full on all the time. And this school holidays, I have had several decent patches of weeks and 2 weeks at a time where I haven't had my kids. And I'm probably going to get shot for this.
I'm jealous.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like the old me again who could just, I was going to say wake up whenever I want. I don't because I'd still wake up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
But I can wake up and I can go to the gym and I can walk back through Manly and grab a coffee and I can choose to do what I want that day. Typically I've been, working and not so much client facing, but just really catching up and doing some business stuff. But just that absolute, it's freedom, right? It is that, you probably notice, if you ever go away for a weekend without the kids or have a night off,
you feel like your old self again.
And you're not having to think about these other people that just need so much of you and so just, thinking about, okay, when do they need to be fed? When do they need to go to bed? All of that stuff, that's actually the best bit. Not having to do bedtime.
Yeah. The fight, the struggle. Constant fighting.
And, that part of it being school holidays, I probably wouldn't have had to anyway, but the morning struggle of getting out of the house, just not having those two pressures on me has actually
been. It's a lot.
I feel really relaxed.
Yeah. I'm really jealous. And I actually had a bit of a joke to Clint the other day. I was telling him and I was like, maybe we should get divorced for a little bit because you would get a weekend free. I would get a weekend free. It sounds like a dream. Yeah. But no, we obviously love our kids. We've both got
each other.
And and my husband.
Love you, Clint.
Yeah. But yeah, and obviously we love our kids, our girls.
Every parent listening loves their kids.
Yeah.
But who doesn't love a little break from their kids?
Absolutely. And you can feel guilty though. I feel sometimes on social media, people, there's certain reels and things out there where, you go to the comments and they're actually, questioning their parenting or whatever. And it's like, come on, it is hard work. I actually never thought it would be this hard.
And you've got to give yourself some grace. You can't get it right all the time. There was a post on anyone from Northern Beaches in Sydney. There's a group called Northern Beaches Mums, and I'm sure every area has their
Central
mums
Coast
groups.
Mums, yep.
Oh, God, the posts
it's
on
full
there.
on.
I mean, I go there for the popcorn, just reading the comments and stuff. It's more entertaining usually than the post itself. But like mums going like, oh my gosh, like I took my eyes off my toddler for 2 seconds and they like nearly went in the water, but they didn't quite go in the water, but I'm so stressed now because that's what happens and I'm beating myself up and I'm like, oh honey, like we've all done stuff and we've all like not been paying attention or we're like none of us are perfect parents. Like, and I like we can't be. There's too much to juggle and think about. I'm not saying like go let your child drown in the water. That sounds a bit horrible. But, you know, like I think I wrote back on one of the posts. I'm like, yeah, I think when my kid was like 9 months, I put my baby on the counter and she put her hand in a toaster and I had to call the bloody nurse's hotline and be like, oh, hi. Yeah, I just,
know how it happened.
What happens if a kid puts their hand in a toaster? Like, so like, we can't be perfect parents, especially, I mean, I say running a business, but just like being a mum, like it's a parent is tough. Like you can't get it right all the time. Yeah. And I suppose what I'm saying is it's been nice to not have to consider and think about 2 other little humans 24/7 because you are always thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
constantly. And it's like what we were saying before, like if you're not thinking about it or you're trying to have some sort of time off, like you do feel, you feel guilty about that. I mean, I even feel guilty of what I just said. It's like, well, am I a bad mum because I enjoy time away from my kids? Like,
yeah, I feel that as well.
But I actually like, I think I need this time. And
you do. You love them. I feel for myself, I love them more when you see them that next time. You're like, oh, I actually had a chance to miss you. Otherwise you just get
So
stuck.
You could just have like a weekend away. You don't necessarily need to go through divorce and separation.
It could be expensive.
Would not advocate for it. I mean, I've been very grateful and lucky. Mine's been a very amicable one and we're still on very good terms. So it's all.
Yeah, that's great. And that's rare. That's really rare.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, not to go too deep this early in the podcast, but I think we did it very proactively. We saw that like we weren't happy and thought, okay, we don't want to end up in a place where we're not happy and miserable. So we actually did it fairly proactively. And I think that's why we are still on good terms. And I think because we spoke so much about it. And look, that's not to say we haven't had challenges, right? Yeah. Like there's definitely challenges. How much can I speak on the podcast? I wonder if you'll listen.
Nah, you won't listen.
You know, there's challenges every day navigating co-parenting and everything else. So yes, there's the benefits of having that time to myself every second weekend, and now in the school holidays, having some chunks of time where I get some solo time. Yeah. I can't remember how we got onto this, but yeah, just more that I was thinking, like I think that there's real benefits if you have kids to letting go of that guilt and actually finding some time throughout the days and months and year for yourself. Because I think like I feel like I'm a much better person and a better mum when I can kind of reconnect with who I am and the things I love doing and, you know, like I miss them, like 100% I miss them.
Yeah, for sure.
It takes me a few days to miss them, but like, a few days I'm like, what? Do I have kids? Huh? But I'll have my kids at home and half the time I'm like, who has left me in charge? Am I the mum? Like the kids yell at mum, like mum. And I'm like, oh shit, it's me.
You text your mum, they're calling.
I have. I've literally texted my mum and be like, so they keep calling up mum. Is that you? She's like, no, honey, that's you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I suppose I've been reflecting on that and kind of going, okay, I'm lucky to have that time, you know, every second weekend. Yeah. So I just think that I'd encourage anyone to let go of any guilt and book that weekend away or book that time out for yourself to go to the gym or whatever it is, because you will be a much better parent, business owner, partner, whatever, wherever you're at. Like I think it's giving yourself, I don't want to call it self-care because like, I don't know, I feel that's a bit like fuzzy and a bit of a wanky word sometimes, but I think giving yourself some time, it's like that fitting your own oxygen mask to be better at every other area of your life.
Totally. And I think you deserve it because I know like my husband does shift work. So if he has a night where he's not there, it's hard. It's hard by yourself. And, you know.
I texted you literally last night going like, hey, we need to chat. And I'm like, kids are still awake. It's like 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. Struggle.
What are you thinking about? What are you drinking? Are you on water?
It's just water, unfortunately.
Boring.
I know. Yep. I am thinking, very similar, although the opposite in that it's, school holidays and I've got one off to school this year. So I've got.
Number one. Welcome to the madness of school life.
And I'm so they're both still in daycare, you know, daycare at the moment.
So you kept them in through the holidays?
Yep.
Smart.
Smart. Yep. I feel like she just needs that bit of transition.
And mummy needs that time.
Yeah, don't.
You have a business to run, right?
That's I do, yeah.
It's good that they offer that. There's some daycares that don't let them stay past Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's just I know what's coming. You know, they're very close. So having to do 2 drop-offs now in the morning. I'm just preparing for that. But yeah, that's it.
How many years what's the separation?
It'll be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And is your daycare and school close or?
15 minutes.
Okay.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember where I used to live up the coast, it was like a 45-minute round trip to do the drop-offs in the morning.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel very productive.
No, and that's it. Yeah. Here I have these big goals to get back to the gym this year, which I have started, but it's,
Can you go early? Can you go before, could you get up at 5 or is your husband not home?
Yeah. Clint's out the door at 4 a.m.
So you go at 3?
Yeah, okay.
We don't go to bed early enough for that.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
The 3 a.m. club. We're starting it this year, 2025.
Yeah, 3 a.m. club.
The 3 a.m. club.
But stay tuned. I'll let you know how that all goes in the coming weeks.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Well, I am the opposite. So I now have my second is going into school.
So 1 drop off.
1 drop off.
Amazing.
Which I said to someone the other day, oh my God, it's going to be so much simpler. And they're like, you think that, but now you're going to have
different
2
problems.
Class things and you got to remember this class on this day and this class on the other day. I'm like, oh my God. So I've actually decided one of the biggest things, term 1 last year was an absolute schmozzle, an absolute schmozzle. And one of the things that really helped us was we made this planner on the fridge. It's okay, each day, what is on at school.
Yeah.
And what that I need to pack on each day. And now I'll have that for both the kids. So I'm going to start that from day 1, term 1
That's a good idea. Yeah.
As well, because it's not just sometimes it's not me dropping off the kids. Sometimes my mum will come and help and drop off the kids and stuff. So it's that mental load of remembering. To be fair, even though that thing was on the fridge, I still forgot a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'd rock up. Well, it's all the extra things. We rocked up to school towards the end of last year and all the other kids are in mufti and my daughter is in the school uniform.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, you'll be right.
Yeah.
It's Mother, take me home. So, yes, I think I've realised it has to go in my calendar or it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But the problem you'll find is that everything comes out in the school newsletter and I'm like, I don't have time to read that. There's so much irrelevant information that.
Send me a calendar invite.
Oh, it'd be great if they sent calendar invites, but usually you'll have a class parent and the class parent usually they start a WhatsApp group. And if you have a good class parent, we had a great one last year and she sends out, okay, here's what's on this week. And that was probably the only way I remembered half the stuff for last week. And I was smart enough and lucky enough to make friends with a lovely mum at school and she's the one who she will read all the stuff. And she reminded you. And it was funny. The more she got to know me, she's like, hey, you might have missed in the newsletter, but this is on this week. I'm like, thank you. I love you so much.
Does she have her own business?
She does actually.
Oh.
Yeah. She's just more on the ball than me.
Fair.
Oh, yes. Well, talking about the year ahead, I suppose we thought we'd dive into a bit around what we predict. We're not oracles. We're not the experts on everything. But
we just have thoughts.
Well, we thought it might be interesting. We have thoughts, many.
Yeah.
But we thought it might be interesting to sort of talk about what we predict for the year ahead. We're not putting bets or money on anything. No. I mean, we could. Can we make some money off that?
Yeah, we could try.
The funny thing about me and Jess is we're always texting each other our new harebrained business ideas. Yeah. And we're like, ooh, that could be a business. Ooh, that could be a business.
Literally a few new business ideas a week.
Yeah. And we've toyed with the feet OnlyFans thing. We haven't done it yet, but
it'd be a reel of this lady that's made $3 million off feet pics. And we're like, ooh, could we?
Should we?
They don't see our face.
But could that? Could we? No, now I'm my brain's going
let us know if you want to see our feet. No, I'm joking.
We're talking. It was funny when we were putting all the wild card questions in the other day. One of them was what's the weirdest thing you've Googled? And I was like, I did actually Google once so how much money can you make putting your feet on OnlyFans? My feet aren't too bad. Anyway, you won't find my feet on there.
No.
So, what do you if you look – maybe if we look at your like we both kind of work with the same kind of clients, right? We both work with like real estate businesses who most of them want to grow and scale, right? People don't typically come to us if they're like, oh, well, just business as usual. Like they want to grow, they want to scale, they want to go to that next level. So I suppose, you know, we had a big year last year. What do you see or what do you predict, the Oracle? What do you think is going to be the trends and things that people are going to need to harness, be aware of, utilize? You know, obviously outsourcing will be a big thing, but obviously. Like you can touch on that. But like what else do you think is going to be something that people need to really harness to scale their businesses in the year ahead?
Well, we did touch on it a little bit in the last episode, AI. So yeah, AI, I think utilizing AI with outsourcing will be massive. But I think for a good chunk of time, it was all about making more profit, which is amazing in businesses. But at some point, you have to reinvest in your business to then take it to the next level. So to reinvest in whether it's new tech, which they all have some sort of AI in there now, but reinvesting whether it's
some of them don't. Like it really surprises me.
And some of the old real estate ones as well. It's like, if a client comes to me and says, oh, we're using this, I'm like, really?
Yeah, some of them are really still quite archaic. Yeah. Like I've been very surprised at like, I don't know, I always look at them like, oh, if you just did that, like
it would be so much better.
Like, I think, was it you we were talking about the other day? It's like the Clippy, like the clip art paper guy.
Oh yeah, Clippy, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be, I don't know if anyone remembers the back in the day when you first started using Microsoft Word, there was a little like paper clip that popped up and it looks like you're trying to write a letter. Would you like to use this formatting? Like imagine if that guy sat there in your like, you know, in your Property Me. It's like, hey, it looks like you've got an email from a really irate landlord. Would you like me to draft a response for you? Like right now, like if you use AI, you can go on to, you know, ChatGPT, put the landlord's email in, ask it to draft a response, right?
Yeah.
But imagine if, and hopefully Property Me, you're listening.
Yeah.
Like that would be a really handy feature that would help people do things faster and smarter.
Clippy was wise beyond his years.
I think we Googled him. I think we found you could like find like a little like plug-in to add him onto your computer.
Yeah.
And no, that's what we found out. We found out that Microsoft tried to relaunch him a few years ago and it didn't come out, but I'm voting one for Clippy. I think bring back Clippy.
Absolutely. I think, and that's the good thing about ChatGPT, right, is that it can do so much for you. So, but to have that
you've got to like input.
You've got to prompt it for sure. And it's only as good as the prompts that you put in it. But I think ChatGPT bots, like creating certain bots based on.
You're going to have to explain it because I reckon there's people listening that like, what? What's a ChatGPT bot?
Yeah. So
is it like a robot?
Well, a little bit. So I've been playing around in the business. Obviously, I own an outsourcing company, so I have access to lots of VAs to do lots of different things. But we have created training in our Agents Inc. Academy for the VAs to create their own bots, create bots for their clients' businesses. And currently I've got an email bot, I've got a social media bot. So you can create, and I give them
like mini employees, like it's sort of like a
like a specialist. Instead of just having like general ChatGPT
just
that
go open it up try and do
anything, you create specialized bots. So I've got an email marketing bot. So in the back end of ChatGPT, you can create this bot and you can put in there your tone of voice document. I put in there examples of great emails that I love, things, you know, emails that are
programming it.
Yeah. So you're giving it everything it needs to sort of create this bot. And then when you give that bot the prompt of, hey, can you please write an email based on this and this and this?
It already knows. You don't have to do so much correcting.
Yeah, it's got the memory already stored in the back end of how I like it written, the length, the tone of voice, you know, my ideal client, that type of thing. And then it's using that memory to create, what I want. So to create certain bots for blogs, emails, social media, and then every time you prompt it, it's remembering, but it doesn't have to remember. Like one bot doesn't have to remember everything. It's just remembering that like specialized, say, email marketing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I kind of see it because I've got a couple for my ChatGPT, my ChatGPT as well. And it's like, it's just good because like if you just use the base version, it's the prompts that are really key and important, right? It's like act as a blah, like do it like this, use this tone, and you have to kind of remember to give it those instructions or prompts each time to get the good output. Because I know I've had some clients like, oh, I tried it, but I didn't really get a good output. I'm like, it's what you put in that determines like how good the output's going to be. So you're saying like in creating those bots and spending a bit of time setting them up that then like they can sort of be there as like little assistants within your business. So if you set up like your email marketing one, because this is one of the biggest things is like I know a lot of my clients in my mastermind at the moment are like, oh, I want to do like regular email marketing, like, but I need to have like a landlord newsletter or something. And it just sits on their to-do list for so long. And I'm like, hey, I've got like a ChatGPT guide. Use this, set it up. Like use it to create it. And they're always like blown away at the quality that can come out if you give it the right prompts.
Yep.
But I think if you can save the time in all of the prompts each time, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, totally. And I was really surprised. I did a couple of courses last year on how to create them, and it's actually really simple. So I think that's one thing that we'll roll out this year as well is helping clients create them, because a lot of VAs are using ChatGPT, but you can very clearly tell that it's ChatGPT. So I think education for the VAs to be able to
the little rocket emoji.
Yeah, the rocket and the
game changer.
It's those words as well, getting rid of like game changer and those.
Yes, because you can tell it like, hey, don't use these words.
Yeah. So I think spending a bit of time at the start when we say onboard a VA with a client, it's like, okay, you're also going to get some bots and we'll sit down and we'll make it with you, get the VA familiar on how to make them, but also how to keep giving it prompts so it doesn't sound like ChatGPT. And I feel like that's where a lot of business owners potentially get frustrated with some of the output that the VAs do because, it's the English is a second language to them. So they have to rely on these things. Editors, So, and that's where a lot of clients will think, oh, it's just easier if I do it myself. Well, no, let's just spend a little bit of time setting ChatGPT up and your VA up and then working together all three of them moving forward, and that's how you'll get the best output. So I think that's a big prediction. I mean, it's already here, but it's not going anywhere. So we might as well embrace it.
Think about it, right? Like, because it's already here and we're in that space, and like I think you and I both use, say, ChatGPT pretty much every day. Like it went down the other day and we're like texting each other going, I forgot how to write. Because we do I chuck so much stuff in there. Like I'll be like, oh, I need to craft this email to go out, or I need to help a client create something. So for me in my coaching business, like it's been such a big game changer for me. Oh God, now I'm talking like it. Oh God.
Rocket emoji.
Hello, I am a robot. A rocket emoji. Oh, that's funny. But I was like used to what I would do is I'd go out to a client. I might say, hey, cool, we've got to create some new templates or a guide for your clients or whatever. And I would go and I would, have to spend 3 or 4 hours on creating that for the client. Whereas now, like I go and like brain dump what I want it to be, and ChatGPT helps me create it. I go back and forth with it for 10 minutes and then I have this resource that I can then give to the client. And now I've got even smarter because now I'm like showing the clients how to do it when I'm in the office. I'm like, hey, I can go away and do this for you. Or like, hey, here's how you can use this. Like someone the other day had a thing in my mastermind program. They're like, oh, I need to create an email or a guide because I'm in an apartment building and people keep flushing weird shit down the toilet, which,
happens.
Apparently is a thing. And so she needed to create a guide on like why not to flush weird shit down the toilet. I think I used those exact words in the ChatGPT prompt, but I was like, hey, here's what ChatGPT just came up with in 2 minutes. Like go and have a play and tweak it. And she was like, oh, wow. Like I would have put that off for weeks, or I would have spent probably 6 hours trying to draft it and get it perfect, right? And now she's like, oh, now I just have to actually send it out and get it in a format to send out, right? So I think that there's, well, gosh, that's like a couple of tiny uses, right? Like there's so many uses for it. And ChatGPT is not the only AI, right? Like there's so many different tools out there. And I think what we will see is like more of the pieces of software adding in some of that, that functionality. Soft plug for my partner's company, Tarpy, right? Like that's a big part of their program, right? Is they've got the AI chatbot that helps troubleshoot all the maintenance, right? And I think, then there's been other things like other programs that have that chatbot on the website and thing. And I think that there will be more need for your business to be able to operate 24/7. Right, there's been, I remember the end of last year, there was all this like chatter online around like, oh, well, like, what do we do? Do we close down over Christmas? Do we keep open, right? If you've got some AI chatbots on there that can answer basic queries for you, maybe that's less staff that you have to have on during that time,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It helps you to be a 24/7 business without, you needing to be there at 10 o'clock at night answering maintenance requests.
Totally. And I said to the team at the end of last year that I wanted to start integrating more AI into the business, and I think there was a couple of little worried looks like, oh, like, what do you mean?
They're going to be replaced.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, even I look back 10 years ago when the agency that I was with flew me to the Philippines to learn about outsourcing. I went over there thinking I was going to be replaced. I was going to train up someone to do my job. But it wasn't about that. No. It was never about that. Is that something
you get clients worried about, like with VAs? Like with the outsourcing and having VAs, say, in the Philippines, are they worried about, do you get that maybe objection or worry from people that like it's going to replace Australian jobs or people
still get it all the time. Yeah. Not so much from the business owner, but if a manager needs to get involved with some of the interviews or they're quite worried. And I always talk to them about my own experience of, it's not about replacing you, but it's freeing up your time so you don't have to spend, the owner would like you to actually spend your time helping him grow the business or managing all of the staff and not doing the day-to-day things. But I think that's the same with ChatGPT. If you want to integrate some of that as your business grows, and like my team said the other day, like, what do you mean? How do you want to integrate more AI? And I said, well, we've got our client onboarding guide. We've got our frequently asked question document. Hardly anyone reads it, but they'll email in and say, how do I send a gift, or how do I do this, or, tomorrow's a public holiday, what's going on? Whereas if we've got a bot on the website or they've got the link to it and they can ask it a quick question, it brings up the answer, that's more convenient for everybody. The client's getting an answer straight away. The staff haven't got an email that could be sitting there for, half an hour or something. By the time we get back to them, it's just about convenience. It's about,
is that a bot you're setting up in your, like a knowledge bot that you're setting up? Because that's the other thing, I think, from what you're talking about, like setting up the bots. And I can really see a user case for that, especially in like a real estate or property management business.
Yep.
Being able to like load all of your processes and procedures and templates in and like all the legislation in, right? So that like,
all the
drain on a manager, like people asking questions and, how do we do this and where's that? Like if you have like an internal, ChatGPT bot or something that can kind of be like your absolute knowledge base for everything.
Yeah.
Like imagine like the time and the access that provides for a business to be able to grow and scale.
Absolutely. And not just for clients, but for internally.
Yeah, the internal team, right?
Absolutely. Like we've got to obviously keep growing our internal team because we keep growing as a business. So every time we employ a new team member,
the onboarding and the training.
And then it's not
like the
just
little bits of knowledge. It's like, when you do this, do that. Like maybe it's not even written in a procedure somewhere, but it's just that like assumed knowledge.
That's right. And like, I employed Sheila. She's my head, she's like the general manager of the business. I employed her to do those bigger needle moving things with me to continue growing the business. But now she's stuck answering so many questions on the daily, basic questions, because she's been with the business now while it's gone through this growth period. And we've got to keep onboarding team, but she's left to manage them and the constant questions and things. And to a certain extent, that will always be a part of her role. But if we can limit the amount of communication or meetings she needs to have with ChatGPT bots, then let's do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose it's like, it's just making like, and you can keep training it, right? Because like I know as a business owner, because I've thought about making like a coach bot for me, right? It's sort of like obviously getting all of my knowledge and making a coach bot so my clients can ask questions, but the control freak in me is like, but what if it doesn't get the right answers? But I mean, I've tried it at a very basic level and I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to be out of a job. I'm going to be out of a job soon.
I'm out of here,
But I
guys.
have that fear, right? Because it's sort of like it's so smart that you can, like, I mean, I'm a business coach, so use me, but also like you could go on ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm having this struggle in my business, act as a business coach and consultant, like give me some advice on what to do. And like what it comes out with is pretty great,
good,
you know, like, and I use it myself sometimes when I'm stuck, right? I have my own business coaches but like what I can kind of manipulate it to work with me. I mean, I've used it as lots of different things. I told you the other day, I was like, I've got my little own like PT bot, you know, sorry to my old PT, but I had a PT for ages and, you know, I've got like a PT bot and if I have a health or fitness question about calories or macros or should I train, you know,
meal plans,
or like
it's
that.
incredible for meal plans.
It can do it all, right? And I've used it for confession, I've used it for like relationship advice, right? Like, you know, I'm sure we've all had a bit of therapy here and there and we know we all get triggered in relationships. And I remember being like stuck on like a Saturday afternoon. I'm like, I know I just need, like, if I had a counseling session right now, I know we'd be able to like work through where I was stuck. And so I was like, I'm just going to go on ChatGPT and say, hey, act as a relationship counselor right now. And like, here's my challenge and ask me the right questions. And like, it actually like helped me work through like what I was stuck with and gave me the, you know, ideas of how I should respond and how I should act and all that kind of thing. And it's not, some people are probably going to be like, oh, so you're taking advice from like a robot. And it's like, well, no, but like to have that access is incredible. And I think that there's so many user cases even outside of business for it that can help us move through things a lot faster. Like, you know, we're as I said, we've both got business coaches, but like even if you want to ask a question, even if there's a group, you've got to kind of like wait for a sponsor. And people now just want things like instant and fast. So, you know, I suppose like when I've got my fear around, okay, well, do I make a Hermione coach bot? You know, would it be perfect? Well, it might not be exactly the way I think it. Might not ask exactly the questions that I would ask, but like if we could get someone some support immediately, you know, on a Sunday evening where maybe I'm not available to them. Like, could that be helpful and part of a package offering that I have? So, I don't know, maybe my current clients can let me know if that's something that they want if I put the time into building it. But.
And I think for you as a business owner, it's like how many clients can you take on before you're at capacity, right? So if you can use part of that so people can get answers really quickly, then your role as the coach is like more of the accountability piece. KPIs, numbers, accountability, all of that
probably
sort of thing.
Seeing the things like it's because I think that it's like what we were saying, maybe it was this week or last week around, it can't like watch everything you're doing. Right. So like it can answer and respond, but right, it's not like my PT bot's not following me around and going, Hermione, do you really need to eat that or drink that? Or, you know, it's more if I ask it something, it's very knowledgeable and available to me. So I think like with my, you know, with the coaching program, like we ask everyone to submit, you know, results at the end of the month and I'm tracking the numbers and I can kind of see and go, okay, well, you know, based on this. I mean, that's not to say maybe a bot will do that one day, but hopefully it'll be my bot. So no, I agree. I think harnessing AI will be a real key in scaling businesses in the year ahead, and definitely also outsourcing. I was going to bring up something that we spoke about off the line. What do we say?
Off the air.
Off the air. I don't know. Was around like personal branding, and I think it's a very interesting one to talk about when we talk about like scaling and growing. I know that you do an incredible job on your socials, like from a personal branding perspective. Like you've got your Agent Sync page, but your Jess Whatman Agent Sync page has a huge following, and you do an amazing job at that. And I think that I've noticed like businesses in real estate are often very real estate-y, right? Like they're missing that personal touch, right? They're missing the like. And that's why we go on social media, is to see people and see what they're doing. And so many real estate pages are still listing, new listing, Merry Christmas,
just sold, just leased.
100%. But I think there's definitely, and I've worked with a lot of them, I know you work with a lot of them too, with a lot of similar clients, like where they're using that personal brand to get themselves out there and generate not only followings but leads from potential clients from there. So what's your predictions on that in the year ahead? Do you think that'll be more important?
Oh, absolutely. I think real estate agents are obviously getting a lot better, that side of things.
Sales agents.
Sales agents.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love you, but you love to look at yourself.
Yes, absolutely. They love to have a bit of a presence. But I think, you know, a lot of real estate agents have realised that if they get a couple of years into their business and decide they want to change franchise or they want to open up their own, they've built that personal brand up. Whereas property managers haven't really started thinking like that, and they need to become the face and brand of their own personal brand if it's a career that they want to stay in. But in saying that, you know, property management agencies also need to do that. And it can't just be, you just lease your, you know, new property available type of things. It's show the people within the office. There's some really great offices that do it really well. They, you know, have a content day once a month and they're all involved making a bit of content, and it's a bit of fun. People like to invest their money, you know, sign up with an agency that shows their people, shows they're having a bit of fun, has, you know, that work culture. So I think it's going to be, really, really important.
I'm interested because like I saw something the other day, because I've always sort of harped on about that saying, oh, people do business with people they like, and that's something I've always said. And then the thing I love about life is sometimes something comes along and challenges your thoughts on that, right? And I saw probably someone in our world say like, okay, people don't do business with people they like, they do with people they can trust, and like the trust to get them the results that they're looking for. So what do you think? Because like I've noticed there's probably two, like when people are showing up with their people on social media, there's the kind of like the silly, fun, officey, pranky kind of TikTok-y dance style ones. And then you've got more of the people who are showing up, sharing their education, value, client studies, results, like, you know, really showing up as the expert and almost becoming that like industry leader in their space.
It's such a fine line. It really is, because people go on social media to be entertained a lot of the time. Like you and I will jump on Instagram and have a bit of a scroll because we, you know, want to be entertained. So normally it's
an
those
escape,
fun.
Right? Sometimes it's just an escape. I know I shouldn't be on it, but it's just like
But the
just need 10 minutes that
funny,
into an
silly things are the ones that catch our eye, make us watch. So you really do need
maybe a
combination of both, and nothing too silly. Like at the end of the day,
you and I aren't like the let's do the TikTok dance style ones.
No.
Like, but I think we have enough personality probably in both of our personal brands to balance out the value add, more expertise type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, businesses will find it hard to stand out if everyone starts, you know, showing up on social. So having
it's hard
that,
because you get criticised though as well. There was that trend last year where, you know, when like there'll be a video of like someone, I don't know, someone about to like smash into something and then the real estate agent pops out the other side, right? I don't know. I think they're lighthearted and amusing.
Yeah.
There's people in the comments going like, oh, this is so lame. Like, why are you doing this? So like it's so hard for people to then show up and want to put themselves out there when they're actually getting criticised from the people within their own industry.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Hard.
Yeah.
Like how do you know, like you want to do it, but then you've really got to have a thick skin to go, well, I'm just going to do it. Doesn't matter what people say, because I want to stand out and be different over and above my competition.
I think it's just staying true to who you are and having a bit of way. Because that person in the comments that says, oh, you're an idiot, like why are you doing this? They were never going to be your client anyway. So
but sometimes it's their industry colleagues, like it's people from other agencies, but maybe they're just jealous. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like what you're saying about the personality. I think from what I've seen, there's definitely some newer stuff and different stuff coming out, but there's a very like, you know, a lot of real estate socials are the same. Like when I usually bring on a new client, like I'll audit what I call their digital footprint, and we'll look at their website and their socials and everything. And like a lot of the time it's like there's nothing that really differentiates them over and above, you know, every other real estate agent in their area. You know, which is why like sometimes some of the stuff you see, you might go, oh, that's a bit cringe, but it's like, oh, well, like they're doing something different. Or like, oh, like that's really creative. Like there's a like Josh Horner, the Josh Horner agency, right?
We
like
love
he's got his gnomes and he's dancing. And it's just so like fun and fresh. Like it's just so unique. But it's funny because like I don't know, like you and I couldn't do that. It's not authentic.
It's not me,
to us. Right? If I started, I love you, Josh, but like if I started doing like my show dancing, like, what is she taking? Like, what is in her Stanley Cup? So, but like and that's for me. I think my style is more, okay, I'm going to show more of like the real authenticity of just like, fuck, it's hard, like running a business and being a mom and showing more of that side of things. I'm probably not going to be the doing, the
dancing like that,
right? Like I'm probably not going to be that. But I've done a few like funny reels and stuff and from time to time, usually margarita related. But, and you like
still
and the
very
same for
on
you.
brand.
Like, for you, it's like, you've done someone's like really creative and I think are really aligned for your brand.
Yeah.
So I suppose
But that didn't come naturally to me either. I had, Instagram coaches and I had other people involved to be like, this is what will work for you and your brand and do that. And at the time it felt very, not natural, but I thought, okay, I need to stand out a little bit. And I think that's probably why my personal brand has grown because there's not many outsourcing agencies where there's a face and, people go, and like just they know, trust, and I think it can
I think that's worked really well for you. Like there's there's a provider, like a service provider I was talking to last year and talking about, okay, well, how do I grow? And I used you as an example. I was like, well, if you look at someone like Jess, like they're there, like they're showing up. It's like, it's them, it's their face. And like that is a person and it's relatable versus just a logo and a brand. Like I can't think of too many people or too many businesses I would follow on socials. Yeah. I don't know if I could think of any, right? It's all people, like the ones that you remember and the people that actually pop into my head now, whose reels I see all the time. It's like people's faces. It's people talking, right? Like it's even just showing up and talking. It's like just showing up and talking on your stories, right? Like I literally have to force myself to do it. Sometimes I'm like, I've got nothing to say, but if I just do it, it's just having your face in front of people. Yeah. And I feel like I'm fairly consistent. I don't feel like I'm as consistent as I could be.
Oh, me too.
But people see me enough that they're like, oh, I see you on socials all the time. Oh, you're everywhere on social media. Yeah. And like I don't feel like I'm doing enough, but like it's made a difference showing up with my face.
And look, sometimes they might scroll straight past it or quickly tap because they don't really want to hear what you've got to say. But there'll be, if you keep doing it consistently, there'll be that day. It's like letterbox drops, right? For agents, it's like they will whinge that no one looks at them. But if someone's been living in that street.
Just throw those in the bin.
Well, but
I take notice. I could tell you the brands. The ones I could tell you the brands that I throw in the recycling the most.
But when you go to sell your house, it'll be like, I'm
front of mind.
Yeah, because once a week you're getting a just sold, or just lease.
Do you think? Do you like if you? Because I get this question a lot. Is it worth doing letterbox drops? Like if you're going to invest. So I had a client come to me last year and he's like, oh, I just spent $8,000 in a month on letterbox drops.
And like that's a lot.
And I'm just thinking like that $8,000, like where that could have been invested in, to get some videos, to put some ads out like on Meta, like it would have just been.
Yeah, my personal opinion, I would do something really nice that's going to stay on the fridge. Like if you were going to put anything in like a letterbox, like a calendar or a, emergency phone numbers. I had one on the fridge and it stayed on there for years and it was like all the measurements of the
like the cooking. Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
You never know. I'm always Googling that shit.
Yeah, but it was right there on the fridge, right? So it stayed there for years. I don't know. It stayed there for years and this guy's face was always on it. But I wouldn't. I did use it, yeah.
No, did you use the agent?
We're still living in the house.
Do you remember the guy's name?
No, I don't. But I know his face. And
do you remember what an ounce converts to?
No, because I've got Google now and ChatGPT. But
that's a good point, right? Because my point is, if I didn't have the magnet, or probably even if I had the magnet, my thought process in selling a house, and I can't really talk because the last person I used to sell my house was a friend and a client that I had, but like I would. Probably most things, I would go to Google. I would do my research. I would see who's got the best reviews, results. Like I would go and do my research.
Yeah.
despite whatever had shown up in my letterbox.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I wouldn't spend $8,000 in 1 month to do the letterbox drops over and over again. I would do one nice thing that's going to stay on the fridge, and then the rest of money I would put into Google reviews, meta ads.
Yeah.
And really meta ads are like the letterbox drop of the future, because people have their phone in their hand all the time. So they're scrolling and they might scroll right past it, but that time that they're thinking about selling their house, they're going to go, oh, who was that guy that I kept seeing he's just sold in ads?
Oh, and I mean, now it's like with the ads and people are collecting the data. I actually think it's very interesting, because I also think you need to be on there as far as being able to collect the data. And I'm seeing this as a trend at the moment, and people are like, oh, I keep I'm losing clients to other agencies. Like, I don't know how they've ended up with my clients' data. I'm like, well, because there's an ad and they've clicked on what's my home worth, and they're selling it through another agent because maybe they didn't know you did sales, or they've got a better offer over here. And I'm like, you have to be more diligent now, because it's not just like we're relying on the letterbox drops. It's like people could be getting your clients' details literally because they're seeing the ad online, right? And so same goes for you. It's like you need to probably be A, on socials organically, but B, being paid to be seen in that space, because if you're not, like, your competitors are showing up on their feed every night, and they're sitting there scrolling at night, and your competitors are showing up on there. Like, and you're wondering, like, why is no one like calling us? Why isn't our phone ringing? Because all that's been seen by your potential clients is your competition.
Yeah.
So I think that.
And I think they've got to ask the question, right? Because they're managing the property for the owner, and they're scared to ask the question, are you thinking of selling this year? When they could be proactively, instead of potentially losing that to, the agent down the road that is really active.
It's much better for them to retain it.
Much better. You're providing that service of, can we actually, come and do an appraisal? And so many property managers wouldn't do that.
Oh, and
because they're scared.
With clients that I'm working with, like, that's one of the biggest things. I'm specialised in the property management space, but I'm looking at, like, how do we harness opportunities across both sides? So one of the first numbers we look at is, okay, well, how many properties have we sold in the last 12 months that have gone to other agencies? And then I work out the number and I show them, like, that's not only the lost commission for those sales, but we've now lost the management income, future potential, like all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so we look at how can we plug that gap by making sure that you're proactively offering sales appraisals to your current clients. Like, people are, oh, but I don't want to lose my rent. If they're going to sell, they're going to sell because they saw the ad and they got the price from someone else. So A, to do that. B, because we've had a lot of owners, like obviously selling the last, 1 to 2 years, is looking at, okay, well, can we, instead of just going to market, actually try and sell those to your existing clients, right? Some people have like 500 landlords. And like, oh, no one would want to buy. But I'm sure 10% of your clients would want to buy another investment property.
Yep.
So we've been working with a lot of my clients at the moment to have a campaign where it's like, okay, well, do we know the current clients that would want to buy? And when we have one wanting to sell, we're actually trying to sell to one of our existing clients first.
Yeah.
Because then we can guarantee the retention of that client. Like, we can save that client maybe marketing costs.
Yeah.
Nice, easy transition for the tenant. And we've retained then the management ongoing.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more. I still see businesses operate in those like silos.
Oh, and it's been like that for such a long time. Yeah. But the agencies that do well is when it's one big team, really. They have to work together.
And I think that's probably a prediction for the year ahead. I think the businesses that do that well will be able to probably be able to like scale a lot easier.
Yeah.
And if you're, like what we're saying, if you're able to sell it, like, not only have you got the sales comm, future potential management, it's like then all of the 50 buyers that were potential for that property are now in your database, and you can, actively try and work with them as well. So I think.
But it goes both ways as well. It's like when an agent sells a property, or, that new buyer comes in and buys that, you can't just assume that they're buying it to live in. So
no, I think
can that house go into their rent roll?
Most agencies will ask now, from what I see, like, is it an investor or an owner occupier? But it's like, I had one client last year. Their they were getting told from the sales team it was an investor, but they weren't actually signing that many of them, maybe like 30, 40% of them. And that's because they had this mentality of like, oh, it's in the bag. So they would just send the agency agreement out going, hey, here's how to sign up with us. And they wouldn't hear back. And then settlement comes along and like, oh, who did you go with? Oh, we went with someone else. Right. I'm like, no, we need to treat that person like it's a new client within our business because it is. And you still need to give them not the royal treatment, but, you know, you still go out and meet them, talk to them, give them the appraisal, give them the love and not just assume that you're going to get it. And then B, make sure that your sales team is really talking up the PM team to make sure that, okay, you need to be with our guys like they're the best.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, if they haven't had a great experience with that sales agent who they bought through, maybe they're not going to want to use your agency. So there's probably a lot that needs to be done there in most agencies to really kind of meld the two together.
For sure.
It'd be interesting to see the year ahead. I think that I think the other thing, like the bigger agencies will probably get bigger. I see a lot of bigger agencies buying up smaller rent rolls.
For sure.
I think we're going to see more and more of those like mega agencies with like thousands of managements because of that ability to scale now, especially with outsourcing and AI. But I do think there's definitely a place for those like niche boutique kind of offerings and they'll be able to get, you know, those higher fees. I feel like the people in the middle that don't have a focus, especially on PM side, are just going to, they're going to get eaten up. And I've seen it happen. There was a business that I wasn't working with, but that came to me and like they'd lost like 90 managements over a year just because they had no focus on growth. People were selling, going to cheaper agencies. They had no value. They had no focus on PM. And they're kind of coming to me, you know, great when they came to me, but I'm like, because you've just had that blasé approach to property management for so long, like you've lost so much potential income there and so much potential asset value.
You really have to have a focus on customer service, I think. Yeah. Yeah. You're either in the bigger, you know, the bigger pool of rent rolls and maybe it's a cost thing that's saving money. But if you're, that smaller rent roll.
Scale or boutique offering, I think.
Yeah,
and it's funny. I remember when I went to TAFE when I was like 19, my little real estate course. There was it's funny, like, you know, when like teachers say stuff to you when you're younger, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember one of our teachers saying to us, get big, get niche, or get out.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and like I see it all the time now.
Yep.
It's like you've got to have kind of bigger goals, like that messy middle. Like it's really hard to to scale, to have the time, to the focus. Like I think you got to go more of that lifestyle boutique business. And I work with a lot of clients like that at the moment. You know, they don't want to be huge, but they want to have, you know, a couple of hundred managements, small team, maybe offshore, and that gives them a really great, you know, income and asset value, and that's good to hold.
Yeah.
And then it's that messy middle, and then the bigger ones, it's so much easier then for them to grow and scale because they've got that serviceability.
100%.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the year ahead. Shall we wrap up with our wildcard bowl?
Yeah.
We still haven't got a we still haven't got a fancy vessel yet, but we will get onto that. We'll get a special scale with us vessel. I think you picked the last one. Shall I?
I did, yes.
Okay, you ready?
Oh God.
Hit me with your best shot. Okay. Oh, okay. What are you most worried about for the year ahead?
Ooh.
Could be anything.
Oh, okay. What am I most worried about? I think for me, maybe my leadership skills. I think I've realized that's probably something, like the business has grown pretty quickly, and I went from just myself and 1 or 2 VAs supporting me to now I've got a team of 12 that support me and, you know, over 100 VAs. So the team of 12 are managing the business, managing marketing, managing all the VAs, all the clients, and then they come to me for support and the answers, and it's like, whoa, I feel like I missed a couple of steps of, you know, that growth or just the time to learn the lessons. It's all happened so quickly that this year I'll have to level up my leadership skills and training, and just, you know, I've got a team. I also have Australian employees, and with that, you know, one of the great things about outsourcing is, you know, if a team member's not working out, it is pretty easy to, you know, have them resign or they
recruitment market overseas for sure.
But with Australian team, it's, there's lots of legislation and while that's so important, it's like, okay, what do I actually need to do in this situation? I love my team. They're amazing. They have helped me grow the business so much. But I think, it's just that leadership piece, which all comes with owning a business and growing it. But it's not something that I want to, not that I've been neglecting it, but it's like the numbers thing from last year. It's
like visibility on it. So what part of leadership do you reckon is the bit you're worried about? Like,
I think for me, I still feel young, and that, I'm like, who put me in charge of this
or something
business? Yeah. So it's just to have the confidence that, I know what I'm doing. And
do you think that's something you need to like go and learn, or that will come with time?
Bit of both, for sure. I might rely on ChatGPT as my therapist. No, I think
we do, right? Like, I mean, there was a situation, you had recently, and like we were, running the perfect responses through ChatGPT to see like what would be the best way to respond to things, So it's not to say
it helped. Yes.
Maybe it is the guru and the oracle, but it's like it can help you unpack, and you could be like, I act as a leadership coach, and what's the best thing I should be doing in this situation? And like usually it'll give you some options, and that's the thing I actually worry about, like with courses and things now. It's like there's so much knowledge in that platform.
Yeah.
That like, okay, sure, maybe you can go into a 12-month leadership course 5 days a week, or like do you just access the information you need when you need it, when things come up, and learn as you go? Like it's having that tool is really powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you?
What am I most worried about? I've still got big plans for the growth of my business, I would say, and something that's always held me back and I'm worried about again this year is how do I make sure that I can do that without burning out? I think I hold myself back a lot of like, okay, I could go to here, but I'm too worried about, that's extra work and time, and I'm already like feeling so stretched and pulled in different directions. So I think that
you're building your team though, which is amazing.
Yes, building team. I've got a few different, options I can go down this year, but I suppose the worry is being able to achieve the goals that I have, but maybe without spending more time on the business, because I already spend so much time on it.
Yeah.
But it's like we've spoken about today, there's lots of tools and resources that I'm going to need to harness, and I've got plans to grow my team even further with my awesome agency employees. Self-plug there.
Yeah. Thanks.
But it's probably more of like a limiting belief that I've had to like really unpack. Like I'm like, I don't want to grow and scale because I'm too scared of the toll that will take on me. Whereas now I'm trying to ask myself, okay, well, how can I do it without spending more time? And like that I want to spend less time, but offer more like quality and value to my clients. Because like there was a stage last year where I was like doing so much like one-on-one.
Yeah, I remember all the ad hoc stuff. Someone
so
would ask for something and you would recreate the whole thing instead of looking at this huge library of stuff that you've done before, and maybe, of course, tweaking it a little bit for their business, but not recreating.
Oh, it was like every time someone asked for something. But it's been so good now, like with the PMBA, like the new mastermind that I launched last year.
Insane. It's so good.
It's like now I've recreated things now. It's like someone asks something, I'm like, cool, create it and put it in there. Now it's available for all of my members to access, and like myself or my team will go, cool, like pop over here and look at that. And it's so, for me, it's like it's a much more scalable business model, and it's allowing me to spend more time like on the client stuff versus, I'd be up till midnight, making a document or a template for the 10th time for the, 10 different people. So there's definitely, it's just working smarter, not harder, as they always say.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's, maybe it's not a worry, it's just an awareness that I want to have to going into, this next phase of business is to make sure that I balance it. Because like as much as I joke around being away from my kids and stuff, like I do want to be present and be there for them and like be able to be at school things and stuff. Yeah. So that's a important consideration.
And I think for both of us it's a mindset thing. Like obviously, on my side of things, my my team always say to me like, oh, you know, you're a great leader, or we're here because of the culture. And it's like, okay, wow, I can do this. And look what I've done in the last 2 years. So don't have the doubt that, you know, I can't keep doing that.
And like we learn, like, you know, it's like that we learn as we go.
Yeah.
Like, and we don't know what we don't know. It's like you don't know what leadership challenge is going to come up in the next 6 months. So it's kind of hard to plan and prepare for that. But I think it's that trust in yourself to know, okay, I've got through all of it so far. Like I can figure it out. And that's part of business, right? You got to figure it out as you go. That's what we're doing most days.
Yeah.
Holding on for dear life.
Absolutely. My God.
The house is burning down around us.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a good chat today. I think, it'd be interesting to see where the year heads. Thank you for joining us for another chat. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, please like, subscribe and share this episode with another business owner who you think might, I don't know, like us.
Get like us.
Like us, love
please,
us,
like us.
Meet our needs for self-approval. But no, thank you so much. And we, look forward to catching up again next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you then. Bye.